You're looking at iron versus iron, fire versus fire, elite unit versus elite unit. The Detroit Lions offense versus that stingy New York Jets defense.
Yeah.
That New York Jets defense led with guys like Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Quan Alexander, CJ Mosley, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. They have a platoon of players that they can put out there. And obviously this Detroit Lions offense spearheaded by that great offensive line. Jared Goff playing some of his best football of his career.
Great quarterback.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, the return of Jameson Williams, and a healthy DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds. Easy. Who is the better unit going into this week? The Detroit Lions offense or the New York Jets defense?
That's a damn good question. Damn good question. I really haven't found out an exact answer of which way I feel about it, but as of now, when fully healthy, I still want to say the Detroit Lions offense. And I think a lot of that comes from beyond like the players in the field and what they're capable of doing, but the mind of Ben Johnson. Because that's the one upper hand you have with the offensive positions. Like, you kind of dictate the flow of the game. You dictate the formations. You dictate a lot more than what the defense is. The defense is more reactionary to what you're doing. They have to stop you. You know what I'm saying? It's the offense. You're on the attack. So that's why I give the offense unit the upper hand in the situation. On top of that, you have the Quinnen Williams situation, too, where we're not quite sure if he's going to play. He's a key piece to them. I think they're fourth in the league right now in sacks with 49 or 43. I wrote it down here somewhere. But Quinnen Williams has 11 of those sacks.
Yes. From the interior defensive line.
The interior defensive line. And they are aggressive, too. I watched the Bills-Jets game highlights from last week. They're all over. They sacked him 3 times in the first half alone.
Yeah.
And that's a mobile quarterback, too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're dog-ass defense for sure. But I have a little bit of exposing to do, if you will.
Oh, shit.
And you know what?
Cover your ears, Abe.
Take this how you want. All right, because this could be a little bit off, and I get that. But I have to point this out because this attributes to them being, again, a top five defense in this league, especially for the passing defenses especially. Here's some quarterbacks they've beaten. Out of the 7 wins, here's 5 of the quarterbacks they've beaten. Jacoby Brissett, not great.
Not great.
I don't even know if
I like Jacoby Brissett, but
he's pretty mid.
He's mid, yeah. He can get the job done, but he's not a great quarterback.
Kenny Pickett,
rookie,
gonna make mistakes, and it's a bad team too. Like,
Steelers aren't good.
Yeah, Steelers aren't that good this year. Skylar Thompson.
Who?
Do you know where he went to college, Benny?
Skylar Thompson.
Central? I have no clue.
No. Yeah, no one knows who
does he even play
is.
for? What?
He plays for the Dolphins. Remember Tua went out?
Oh, yeah. That's when Tua was dead.
Brett Ripken? I don't even know who that is. I feel like I messed up writing that name down.
This is not true.
This is true. These are facts. These are the quarterbacks this defense has gotten these stats off of.
Yeah.
And I'll round out the rest of the 5 with Trevor Siemian. And if I want to extend it to all 7 wins, I will give him credit for Aaron Rodgers. He beat him at home.
But the Packers aren't that good.
Exactly. And he had a broken thumb too.
Yes.
And then I also give him credit for obviously Josh Allen. The first time around they beat him.
They did.
And he wasn't himself.
But it was
in that game too.
Without the Bills' entire secondary.
100%. And I mean, I look at the Detroit Lions offense as well, this offensive unit, and I looked at the top defenses. You feel good.
Yeah, it feels good.
This may be a slap-ass show. You may be watching this show afterward and thinking, like, these guys just being fanboys. They said the Detroit Lions are the best team in the division. They said Dan Campbell's a candidate for Coach of the Year, and now they're saying the Detroit Lions offense is better than the New York Jets defense. I got some more for you. But wait, there's more. We face some top-end defense in this league. I'd say, it's okay. The Philadelphia Eagles defense ranked amongst the best.
Yes.
In fact, I looked at a couple power rankings earlier.
That was first game of the year, but
correct. But 38 points we put on them. Goff didn't have his best performance. I know everyone's like, "Oh, he started out hot." Oh no, only 215 yards in that game. He had the interception and a couple bad passes. But DeAndre Swift fully healthy in that one, 144 yards on the ground alone. On top of the passing game too. Cowboys defense, they shut us down. They shut shit down. They weren't playing around. Only 6 points.
Cowboys defense is
scary. Sack off like 3 or 4 times. He turned the ball over 4 times, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. But Williams, and mind you, Swift wasn't that healthy. Williams still got off 79 yards alone. I don't know what we ended the game with Foley rushing. Buffalo Bills, we put up 25 against them. And then also Patriots. New England Patriots shut us down. That one, I can't deny that one.
Yeah.
the Detroit Lions got shut down by the New England Patriots. And this is where like the golf conversation, like this is where it holds a little bit of weight, because like as a great defensive coordinator, you're able to game plan against a guy's limitations and what he's not able to do.
Yes.
You could force certain looks that's like, that's the only look we're going to give you that's open, and you're going to have to make a play. And he didn't. Jack Jones intercepted him. And then Matt Judon sacked him. They fumbled. And the Commanders. We put 36 in the Commanders.
Commanders, yeah, they're not a great defense, but they're all right.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big test for Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions offense, because this is a fantastic defense you're going up against. And like you said, probably the two defenses that are as good as this one that you've gone up against so far this year are the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, the Eagles have a great defense, but it was the first game of the year. They were still dealing with a lot. They didn't have all the pieces that they do now, so it wasn't a complete team, and you kind of jumped them. This team, this Jets team, you're looking at guys. You already talked about Quinnen Williams, who has 11 sacks from the interior defensive line position. Another interior defensive lineman in Sheldon Rankins, who has 23.5 career sacks. You're looking at Quan Alexander, who's got 55 tackles. 5 tackles for loss. C.J. Mosley already up to 125 tackles on the team. Sauce Gardner and D.J. Reed, who neither have allowed over 400 yards so far this year. So it is going to be tough for the Lions to go in there and kind of have their way with the Jets like they have some of these other teams. But I think the Lions' offensive line can help neutralize what that Jets defensive line does so well, because the Lions offensive line is an elite unit. It is a top 3 unit in the NFL at its position. And I think that travels on the road, at home, in the cold, in the elements, in a dome, no matter where you are. Penei Sewell is going to maul people. Frank Ragnow is going to maul people. Taylor Decker is going to maul people. And I expect them to go in there to be able to do that, and to give Jared Goff, to give DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, whoever it is, all the opportunities that they can to make plays. So that's what it's up to. And if you looked that video we played at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of the show, when I talked about my expectations for Jared Goff this year, I said 3,800 yards, 27 touchdowns. But I need to see him do it against elite defenses. I need to see him do it against playoff caliber defenses. And that's what he has coming up, is a playoff caliber. This is a playoff game for both teams. Both teams need this win to jockey for contention for a wild card spot. And the Detroit Lions need to go in to the Meadowlands, go into New Jersey, and punch the Jets in the mouth. Because Quinnen Williams is still a little banged up. He's day-to-day, probably going to play. Mike White, also day-to-day, probably going to play. But those two guys being banged up are two of their most important players on both sides of the ball. So as the Detroit Lions, you need to go out there and you need to do what you've done all season, which is lean on your great offensive line. Allow them to go out there and maul people. Allow them to create space for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to cut into this Jets defense, to loosen it up a little bit and hit some over the top. You finally have a fully healthy receiving core for the second game all season. You have Jameson Williams back. He's going to be a big part of this one. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has been playing at a top 10 caliber level all year. DeAndre Swift healthy. DJ Chark healthy. Josh Reynolds healthy. There are no excuses for this team to not be able to at least move the ball.
One other piece I want to squeeze in there, too, is like you look at the Detroit Lions defense and how they're trying to establish themselves as a defense, and it's the physicality. And we talked about that. We discussed that on this very show in the offseason when Aaron Glenn was on the podcast with Adam Schefter, and he's like, I want these guys to be physical at the point of attack, even my DBs, and you want them physical at the line. That's the same way this Jets defense plays defense, too. So I'm not saying the Detroit Lions defense is that, but I'm saying in practice reps and training camp, in the offseason. Like, that's the type of reps they're getting against these physical, lengthy cornerbacks. Outside of Jerry Jacobs, obviously, with injury, but Amani Warrior, I hope you don't see the field too often. No disrespect to him. But Jeff Okudah, they have the experience of like having that physicality up in front and personal. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I really do give the Detroit Lions offense the upper hand in this situation. Now, tomorrow we're going to have a New York Jets fan in that seat. Hey.
See what he has to say about it.
I'm curious to see what he's got to say. He's a little bit more informed. I want to get JB's opinion.
Oh, I'm definitely riding with the Lions offense on this one, just solely because they've got the youth, they got that talent over there, and not to mention Ben Johnson. If you think that pass to Penei Sewell is the only thing that he has in his bag, I can guarantee you he has a lot more and I can't wait to see it come Sunday. I'm just telling you.
That's for sure.
Hey.
That's for sure. There's definitely more plays broken off of that. I'd love to see Penei Sewell score a touchdown at some point this season.